a smiling face, and I just ain't satisfied till the coffee's on and the eggs are fried. Road worn and weary, I've gone one too many miles, got no one near me, and it's gonna be a while. Now you might be far away, maybe you're low on gas and looking for a place to stay.
live. Welcome to the mountaintop in the swamp. From UFOs to camel toes, from big chuckles to moose knuckles, you got it locked on the Derek Farmer Network. How you all doing tonight? Just wanted to pop on. I wasn't going to go live. I'm just bored. And, you know, hopefully there's one or two other people that are bored out there. Also, I did want to start out the show, of course, by thanking Skip Jansen, who was our guest on a quite an extensive interview. Hey, Hiawatha. Here we go. One of our regular shows, Hiawatha, where we get to put up every comment and really marinate over each other. Of course, you guys could probably notice that when I was talking to Skip, that doing that was pretty much impossible. Like, we had quite a few people more than what I'm used to in the room. The comments were, oh, Abby, you sweetheart. Our comments are, you know, I don't even know where I'm going with that. They were going by so quick, and in order for me to sort of, you know, pay the proper attention to the guest in the studio, it's just a lot harder to go over all those comments. But tonight, that's not the case. You know me, famous for coming up with stupid bullshit show topics like an after show, and that's exactly what I'm going to do here today. I just wanted to review. I'm going to put this camera down so my, I think I look better from this angle. If you guys notice an angle that I look better from, don't be afraid to put that up in the comment section, as I do want to portray myself with my best foot forward. If I look good from no angles, from zero angles, also put that up in the comment section. I know, it seems like I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like, you know, I should probably have just went to work. You know, I had to do something called stocking the cooler after these trucks came in today. I guess when you sell beer and beverages and so forth, you have this large walk-in cooler. Apparently, it has to be restocked, and you have to get a new product and move shit around. Of course, I'm used to doing that in the restaurant. FIFO, first in, first out, is the first rule of law in a restaurant. Oh gosh, what did I just do with that? Oh no. I'm sorry, you guys. I lost my little paper thingy I was going to use for a paper. Oh well, okay, I'll worry about that later. Now I'm all frazzled because I have no weed. And when I have no weed, I mean, I have enough to put into a cigarette butt thing. I have no papers. I got a little bit of weed, but I barely got any cigarettes. When you're stuck out in the country, you know, it's like, anyway, so I restocked this cooler today. That makes me no money. Yeah, I got to wait for a paycheck for that shit. And I felt terrible this morning. I literally didn't, oh, thanks, Hiawatha. I look like a fucking train wreck. You're sweet, though. You know, yeah, it's one of those days without resources. So instead of going to work, I'm going live because I just don't feel like going all the way to Kalamazoo tonight. It's like already 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. You know, it's just like, screw it. After I got done stocking I came home and fell asleep because I just, my stomach hurt, to be honest with you. Smoke it out of a beer can. Not a bad idea. I got to finish this beer first. That's an excellent idea. If I have to do that, you know what? I will, I won't do that on camera. I'm not doing that shit on camera, Dandy. I'm not. Aw, you're sweet, Abby. I mean, I need as much as I can smoke. I mean, I know you do. You got me. I just would have to get all the way to Kalamazoo. Yeah, it's too late. Yeah, it just, even in a college town on a Wednesday night, Hiawatha, it's just like, I'm over it. I'm just gonna soak down this one beer I got. Make a if I can't find that, I'm gonna make a you know, I'm gonna do what Dandy said. I don't even have a pipe anymore. I mean, you know, because I smoke joints usually. I don't smoke out of a pipe, you know. So, and when I moved, I just sort of got rid of all that shit, you know. I just didn't want to bring everything with me. You like the angle of my dangle? That's nice. Anyways, what I wanted to do though, honestly, was just sort of go over. I mean, you know, maybe a little feedback. I have been working a lot. I've been working a lot harder than I'm used to. I'm not gonna lie, Hiawatha. You get into that damn gas station, And suddenly, it's a really old building. Used to be another, like family-owned business in the 30s even. It's probably 100-year-old building. Fishing tackle. It's one of these real country stores. It's got a scary little back bathroom. It's not like a new Shell station where everything's bright and beautiful. We keep a clean place, though. Thank you, Dandy. That is like the old days. That or if you remember the paper towel tube. I am happy to find out, speaking of some cannabis product, now Michigan has 1 million dispensaries, but one thing you can never find in any of them is actual hash. I mean, if anybody is in a weed legal state, Dandy, I know you've probably been to a few dispensaries yourself. They sell these little, almost looks like a Carmex lip balm container of what is known as concentrates. And those are fine. They're fun. They're for what they call dabs. That's when you want to just get super high and paranoid. But what I miss is old-fashioned hash. And that's where you just take the actual plant and you dry it out, and then you hit the trichomes off of it. The trichomes are the little pistol-type microscopic filaments that shoot up towards the end of the flower cycle. And that's actually how you gauge how far along your cannabis is when you're growing it as well. You want those will be clear when they start. They will turn an creamy white, and then they will finally turn like that amber or reddish color, which a lot of people associate with the red hairs in weed, when actually what you're looking at is trichomes that have been amber colored. And the more amber colored they are, typically the more what they would call like a indica style. I don't get into all this indica and sativa shit. I've worked in the industry. I think it's bullshit. I don't think there's anything about a sativa or indica that intrinsically keeps you awake or asleep. Like associating it with like amphetamines, I think is stupid. It really has to do more about the terp levels being tuned in and tuned out, and the cannabinoids within the specific genotype, and then to break that down into the phenotype of that mother plant. But we can go into that on another show. But anyway, so I found actual hash where and it's the only place, and it happens to be at the only dispensary where it's like a locally owned one by I'm going to say a kid. He's 27. He's got all kind of artwork in there displayed from local artists. It was really a different kind of place. In fact, I want to give him a shout out. It's called I think it's called Green Rhino on M40 in over by Marcellus, Michigan. And he grows radiation-free cannabis. And I guess if you know anything about the cannabis market here in Michigan or even nationally, it has to be irradiated to prevent this certain type of mold. Turns out when all this weed's tested, this certain type of mold isn't actually active in humans. Only 1% of this mold is, and they've never even found that. So they're adding all this radiation to the cannabis, and he's one of these guys that really researches like how the food is grown. He grows all of it. This guy's like a true I don't know what you'd say, but he's really into the nutritional aspect of foods and really into the anti-radiation cannabis. So that's what they do as a company. And it was really, I left him a resume, actually. I talked to him for about an hour just about all kind of different things. It was such a great conversation that I like to associate myself with people that I think out of the box, that maybe have a hybrid situation or something that I can consult on and help out with. So yeah. Oh, hey, Jerry, good to see you. Yeah, I'm just doing like a quick review show. Like this show has zero agenda. If anybody wants to call in, let me know. I'll throw a link up there. So that was really fun. Skip, yeah. Thanks. Hi, Walter saying I love listening to Skip, but you gotta just let him go. When he gets on a roll, you don't want to distract him. You're right. Yeah, I noticed that because I re-listened to the interview. Part of my problem, Hiawatha, that I was having was the audio connection. A couple times I did definitely cut him off because as he was speaking, I couldn't hear him. But also you're correct in saying that because you're right. One, he knows what messaging he wants to get out. Like, I realize that he's not looking for anyone to lead him in an interview. Like, hey, like beforehand, he's not asked, like, where's this going to go? Like, he's got more experience than I do, you guys online, doing this stuff, in my opinion. So he was the perfect guest in that there was no leading on my part. I mean, again, like Hiawatha says, just basically take the reins off and let him go. I mean, I like to break in a couple times of Hiawatha if I need to make a point succinct and then let him get back into it. I think Skip has the ability to stop and start again. Like when we cleared up the sketch, something like that. Like, I want to make sure that as he's going, or any guest is going forward, that as they're explaining things, me and the audience both are sort of on board the same, track. Hiawatha saying hi to Jari. Abby saying, I wish I knew where all my keep went. I had so much. I know you were talking about that the other night, Abs. I love that. We got the hash. I buy the pre-rolls dipped in dabs and rolled in hash. I hit. See, I can never find the old-fashioned. Like, this hash is so old-fashioned, you got to take almost like a razor blade. It's in a big square cube, like the old Afghani hash used to be. And you almost got to take it so hard, you have to take like a razor blade and shave it, Jerry, I love his accent, too. He does have a great southern accent. Oh, I haven't smoked hash in forever. Yeah, it's like a real sort of heavy, smoky, almost incense type, if you could smoke incense, almost like that. I really love the smell of it, the feel of it. And it's a real body buzz, it really sets your ass down on the couch for a while. On a safety pin stuck through a piece of cardboard, under a small glass. Those are the same kind of hash I'm talking about, yeah. In fact, they sell a product, Hiawatha, this kid did. I've never seen it anywhere else, and I've been to a lot of dispensaries here. So it's really kind of a sideline product, but it's a little paper tube. And then encapsulated in the end of the paper tube is 0.2 grams of this hash. And the little paper tube, then you can sort of run your lighter across the end of it, and that gives you some distance between the hash and your mouth. It's like a built-in temporary hash pipe. And then it comes in a 5-pack. The packaging was excellent. And so it's 1 gram total. But it's broken up into 5 little tubes. And then the guy goes, you could just reuse these tubes. You buy then the big square piece of all natural hash without any of those additives. And you can break that up and put it in that tube and reuse it. Yes, really, hey, Junior, how you doing tonight? You're back home to Michigan. Good to have you back in the Great Lakes state. I'm glad you once again. Steve, I think you mentioned yesterday, actually, it was hard, Junior, to keep track of all the comments yesterday. It was a really, or 2 days ago, rather. Right, so because it had those smoking kind of devices attached to it, it was a little bit more. The squares were 2 gram squares, and those were $36, which is definitely pricier than I'm used to paying for concentrates or joints. But for real hash, I would spring that when I have it, just to give it a shot, because I haven't gotten it anywhere else. Junior, I think I saw that you were driving a U-Haul back from Kentucky in the comments. I just didn't put that up the other night. I think more just due to how busy the volume was. And if you did notice, Skip, Skip doesn't slow down. You do kind of got to put on the put on the wetsuit and just get ready for a dive, because he's going to take you for a ride. Skip is, yeah, for sure. And also, not that I care, but it was our highest watch show since my second show, of course, because Skip is a A-list guest when it comes to this topic matter. And and also, I mean, we never even, it's like we got 3 hours in and didn't get into some of the meat of his theory and stuff. So I really enjoyed the conversation in terms, from my perspective. I thought that it was intelligent. I thought it was respectful to everyone involved. I don't think we really tried to pin anything out, or blame anybody for anything. It was more, I felt like it was more of an exercise, again, in deductive reasoning skills. And that's something that as web sleuths, I'm interested in looking at, more with people like Skip to figure out, I've always been interested in doing like that web sleuth handbook thing, in terms of how can we bridge the gap between law enforcement and online content creators in this topic, because right now there's no bridge. If there is anything representing a bridge, it'd just be Mr. Steve. That's about it. And this whole community. So I mean, think about the nature of what a broadcast could be if working hand in hand with law enforcement and being guided by law enforcement, not to put out bad information, but to honestly put out real information and how to best go about that. I mean, maybe, if you were consulting with a police department on a certain case that hasn't been talked about for 20 years, actually going over that stuff with the actual police officers and having them lead the narrative so that bad information isn't getting out, you finger pointing back at me, the content creator provides the venue for that. But it's up to law enforcement to want to be involved also, to come onto these shows, maybe even in an official capacity, to disseminate information that is relevant in a case. And if you want it to be done properly, then maybe don't complain about it so much and say that we're having a bad impact on the community, but maybe go out of your way to do a little bit more to engage yourself with that community, if you don't mind my saying so. Junior saying, hey to Dandy. Oh, geez for the $36. Yeah, well, the first thing he said when I walked in, he's like, look, I own my own business. I'm not a corporate pot shop. I don't have a bunch of money to have these cheap, and he's going through a million reasons why he doesn't want any of that product anyways, because he says it's poisonous to your body, essentially. So that's why it's like a specialty pot shop. So it's a little bit more. But hash in this state is a specialty product, apparently, because just getting pure trichomes, sort of put together into a nice ball of hard hash that you dry out isn't a thing that you can do, I guess, here. I don't know. It has to be so refined, and that's not that refined. That's like off the product. It's like if you've ever heard of how you get real opium. Well, you get that from picking poppies, and the opium is the finger, sticky stuff that stays on your finger. It's not refined into heroin, right? It's just the natural, probably trichomes or whatever that stick to your hand, and it's called opium. I haven't had that in quite some time, but being the all natural kind, hey, what are you doing over there? No, hang on a second, he's being a bad boy. Oh my God, he's never bad. Hey, get up there. That was I saw that Reese's wrapper in your mouth. There's nothing in it. What a shithead. I look up, and this is dangling out of the corner of the dog. No, I don't even know where he got it from. It must have been. Sometimes when I eat a candy bar at night, I stick it in the crack between the cushions on the couch to take care of it the next day, so that doesn't happen. Apparently, I forgot one. I'm sorry about that. It was really cute, actually, if you guys could have seen it. He looked at me, and it fell off his mouth, and he just was like, damn, there ain't nothing in there. Oh, God dang it. It's the little things like that, man, that really bring the joy to me. Wait, what's this question? Abby, are you going to have him on here again at some point? Are you talking about Skip, Abs? Did you watch the show, Abs? I know you were sick, so I'm not assuming that you did. I figured you probably kind of passed out. And for that matter, you might enjoy I don't know if you like that kind of topic stuff, Abby. You kind of joined us when I'm sort of in this series of, Derek Farmer Fireside Chat season, Well, a Fireside season's about over, folks. I ain't going to lie. That's going to be a damn big fire at some point before I'm going to sit out there in a chair for 3 hours. Okay. Now, hopefully, what would be cool is Derek's wood burning stove chats. from the workshop. And in the workshop is where the equipment's at for the internet, Ethernet line. I'd have a great connection. Boom. That just came to me. I got to get a wood burning stove. I got all the free wood I could want from my mechanic friend, you know. He's even got a chainsaw. Damn. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Yes, Abby, to answer your question, if you're referring to Skip, Lebanese hash. I should see Junior's comment coming up, that blonde hash. Oh, we could talk about that in a second. I don't even have anything to smoke around here tonight. That's okay. I think I can make it through a night without smoking weed. Oh, fuck. It's gonna be rough. To answer your question, Abby, as a matter of fact, I just emailed Skip. I was rewatching the show. You guys know I always rewatch the shows. Not so much that I love to see myself bloviate, but because I like to try to improve upon things or see where I may be glitching a little. And I picked up on that Hiawatha that I cut him off a couple times. But I think I will. I mean, I'm going to ask him to be on again, Abs. I mean, I already did. He was talking about something about Buster Hernandez, that as he was talking about it, when I was rewatching it, the hair on my arm stood up. So I know that's going to be interesting for the listeners. And I emailed him. I want to approach a show from that angle, I think. Yeah. I think that might be quite interesting. Not even talking about the Delphi murders. My kind of new rationale for anything in that area is just, what other nefarious circles of bullshit, drugs, sex, rock and roll is going on around all that? And when we talk about this Buster Hernandez thing, the fact there's a California connection, and the fact there was an early California connection with Keegan Kline between Vegas and California. Again, maybe nothing to do with the Delphi murders. So everything has to revolve around that. But since we're there, it's like when the health inspector comes to your restaurant and they find a major violation, something major. They're going to go through every component of that restaurant now and ding you for every little thing. I've been through it many times. If you have no major violations, and I don't think I ever had a major, I've just always heard that. But I did get a surprise one once because one person from the community called and said they got sick from our food. And so it prompted a surprise health inspection. After he was done, he goes, "There's no way they got sick from here." He goes, "You are perfect." And this is a surprise one. It was like 2 weeks after my 6 month. So you're not even thinking there's going to be another one. And he popped in. But I'm so methodical. I'm a details guy, you know, that even when the health inspector is not scheduled to come, it's perfect. But like a health inspector that finds a major violation, then, and you could consider that if you equate that obviously the Delphi murders will be that major violation. You want to look at and call out any other violations going on at the same time. And if they tied in, and in small town circles, if they didn't tie in directly to that murder, then what circles, much like that Olympic logo, overlay each other in that area? Those are the kind of things I like to look at from a web sleuth standpoint and putting our skills to some work. And so, yes, when you talk about somebody like Skip Jansen, he's the perfect person to sort of get involved in something like that with. And I would be delighted, Abby, to answer your question, if you would come on again and do that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think that's in the, I wouldn't say it's in the works, but it's certainly a topic of discussion between Skip and I. I mean, I sent him a text message tonight, you know, I mean, I won't say, you know, those are personal, but I'm saying, I don't mind sharing with you guys that since the interview, I'm still maintaining a conversation with him. So I do feel like, yeah. And I felt like, I started to say on a personal level with Skip that, I thought we had a good natural back and forth. I think we sound, good together. And really besides Cryptex, he's the only other person really that I felt that sort of natural back and forth flow with. Even though it was more of an interview setting, I could see it being a co-broadcast. What do you guys think? I mean, a little feedback on that. I'll start to read some comments now. Junior saying, I used to buy pounds of Lebanese hash. Yeah, we know, Junior, got you in trouble. And we know what kind of trouble you almost had. You would be telling us that right now from Jackson. You would, you know what I'm saying? Get your cricket phone. Junior, hello, Hiawatha. I love you, Junior. You shouldn't have to spend 1 minute in jail for anything like that. I'm so glad you didn't have to do what you could have happened. It's legal to grow here for personal use. Bubble hash is easy to make. Oh, no, you're asking, is it legal to grow there for personal use? Yes. Bubble hash is easy to make. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know, but I prefer actual all-natural trichome hash. That's all I'm saying. I can get all kinds of bubble hash at the dispensaries. I want Lebanese hash. I want blonde hash. I want where the trichomes fall off, and then you heat them up to like about 130, 140 degrees, wrapped in a tight compress, and that's all you do to them. It's keef. In other words, Kief is keef. That's sort of the street word for trichomes. Abby, I did watch. I passed out like 2 hours in. Yeah, I know. I do a long show. Skip, I think naturally, I was looking back at some of his broadcasts with other broadcasters. He also must do a long. I think he forces other broadcasters to do a 2 and 3 hour show. By forces, I mean, he just has so much information. Hiawatha, like you said, he kind of goes. And for me, it was totally natural. I'm like, oh, 3 hours, no big deal. You know, like, because I'm just used to doing that on my own, you know? So I'm not saying we're doing that tonight, but you know what I mean? Like, I have that ability sometimes, not all the time. The other night I did a show where, like, literally 45 minutes, I just couldn't. I was like, you know, I'm racking my brain here. And it just didn't feel as natural, so I cut it. You know, if it stops feeling natural, might as well cut it. Abby saying, don't worry, I'll smoke an extra joint for you tonight. Oh, Ab, don't rub it in. That hurts. Maybe I'm not upset that you're sick after saying that. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I hope you feel better. It sucks being sick. Gibbo, how you doing, Gibbo Frank? Saying hi to Junior? I mean, I'm saying hi to Gibbo. It goes deep, Derek. The Brian Kills Hernandez thing. I know. It made the hair on my arm stand up, Hiawatha. It's a weird. It screams of multiple actors, right? Right? Am I wrong on that? Like a whole ring of fucking shitheads that are doing things that, I mean, I don't get how someone could expend this much time on doing terrible things to people. It just is so counterintuitive to me. And by the way, I have to assume that some of these serial killer rapist types who spend their entire days, it seems like, cultivating crime, if they actually like tried to solve scientific mysteries or got into a career path. Not saying it would change them for being a serial killer, but they'd probably be good at it. They're probably A types. I'm so not A type. I'm like F type, you know, like I'm disjointed. To Skip, I apologize for that because it's hard. Some interviewers are so, you know, everything's so like you have everything written down, every bullet point written down, and I'm just not that guy. Gibbo saying hey to Dandy. Digital's back. Do I think RA got a fair trial? Can you explain what was presented in court that convinced you he is guilty? I didn't watch the trial. I don't know. I didn't read the transcripts. So no, I can't do that. I'm basing it on the fact that I think he's bridge guy. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I believe RA is bridge guy. I can look at that guy walk. I can look at the bridge guy walk. I can see they're the same height, the same build to me. Not everybody agrees with that. On top of that, you know, you know, you're right. I mean, it's very circumstantial to a degree, Digital, when I think about it, the RA case, you know. As far as a fair trial, that's the part I do have a problem with because a lot of folks are saying he didn't get a fair trial. So even if he's guilty but didn't get a fair trial, that's still a breach of the of how it's supposed to work. So that could be a concern. I agree. I just wholeheartedly believe that he was involved in this somehow. However many people were involved, I don't know. But I can't imagine what he went through in those prisons if he's not, and what impact that may have on, so-called confessions and all that. Yeah, it brings it all up. It does. I mean, I'm not sure how to rectify that other than having them grant him an appeal, honestly. I think, and making sure that appeal process is completely fair, but I don't know how even all that works. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know the legalities and the ins and outs of Indiana's appeal process, and if that would have a narrower scope, you know what I'm saying? Let me reverse that question on you. What in the trial do you think was unfair to him? I'm just wondering. Dandy saying hello there, Frank. I guess my question is, when a guy, he was clearly there at the time by his own admission, and I'm not talking about his confessions. Okay, he clearly stated what time he was on that trail, right? So he put himself there. Okay, forget about the confessions, forget about the witnesses. R.A. put himself there at the time on the bridge of the murder. Find anyone else who did that. Why wasn't that investigated properly from the beginning? That's what I'm saying. And had it been, I think this would have been over a long time ago. So yeah, you're not going to get me to think that R.A. wasn't involved. Sorry. That's just how I feel about it. And I'm not going to argue about it with anybody at this point. And so I would just reverse that on you and say, why don't you think he's because I believe he's bridge guy, digital. That's why I think he's guilty. And even if he didn't have a hand in the actual killing of them and someone else is involved, he led them to their death. In Indiana, you're eligible for the death penalty for that. And I think he should have got it. So, I mean, I don't think 12 members from the community got it wrong. We can talk about Nick McClelland all day long. It does seem that there's some information there that's a little iffy. And I'm not saying the process was fair. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I wasn't there for that process. I don't understand all that. And that's not my position here on this show. I don't ever believe I said I was a courtroom reporter or representing any kind of official stance in any way. I'm giving you my opinion and my assessment. Gibbo saying RA is definitely bridge guy. There's no getting away from that. I agree. Sup, digital? Junior, I'm done with Delphi. It's over. I seriously doubt his appeal will go anywhere. And you could be correct, Junior. You could be correct. Because if he is involved, maybe his appeal doesn't go anywhere. I mean, I believe he was involved. So maybe his appeal shouldn't go anywhere. Again, though, the more interesting questions to me are, how did that whole meetup happen in the first place? All that shit. What circle of online bullshit, and I know it has to do with online bullshit. And okay, take the murders out of it. Don't you think it's a worthwhile investigation to try to find out what's going on in terms of a child sex ring, or in terms of a meth ring, or in terms of other nefarious shit going on around there? I do. I'm curious now. Like that health inspector, we found a major violation. Let's get in there and find them all. And how does that play into the small town politics and connections between people? Those are the little things that I'm interested in. Not RA's guilt or innocence. That's been decided. Personally, to speak to that digital on how I feel about it. If he gets an appeal, great. The process is working. If he doesn't, then I'm not sure if the process is working. Dandy said, I didn't get to watch the trial, so I'm undecided. Many people are screaming, well, that's part of the problem. It wasn't fair because people weren't allowed to watch it. There's nothing in a law book that says the public has a right on television to watch a murder trial, by the way. That's not part of the process. That's a bonus. Gibbo Prank, exactly. He's the one that changed his story more than once. Yeah, exactly. Much respect for your honesty, Digital. And yours as well. Thank you. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Yeah, I'm not here to, I don't want to be that clickbait show that tries to come up with a new angle on the Delphi killings and then putting that crap in the title and what's going on. Hey, Shay, how you doing? Will you stick around as long as you can or whatever? We're always glad to have you here for any amount of time. I emailed you earlier also, Shay. Just so you know. But yeah, Digital, I'm willing to listen to any argument that's rational that has something behind it, such as Skip Jansen's. I thought it was good. I don't think we even got into the meat of it, to be honest with you. And I think Skip has, like Hiawatha said, Skip brings receipts. And I'm not going to speak to something I can't bring receipts on. But I will have gone guests that can, and that's kind of what we do. And also, I really very much like having someone on the show with me sometimes, and so to find somebody comfortable, like Cryptex or Skip, it's just a bonus on top of that. Hey, Sensi, how you doing? I know you will. You ain't going nowhere. I know you're not going nowhere, Shay. We're not letting you go. By the way, Shay and Cryptex are doing a collaborative project. Cryptex has a new series coming out. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a listener-based series on injustice. Him and Shay are doing the first episode together, and I highly look forward to it. I really do. I think it's going to be really good. Cryptex, I think it's really great that you're veering off on that path. I think it's a noble path, and I think it's an interesting path. And I'll tell you what, we all know Shay's got some incredibly interesting life experience and also some brushes with injustice. With that being said, I really do look forward to it. I can't wait, not just for your episode, Shay, but future episodes that Cryptex may be doing. I think it's a great idea to take listeners' ideas. I might have to steal that idea from Cryptex, actually. I don't think you could do enough of that, each one being its own episode. I think I'd probably do, Shay, if we were going to do something together, it'd probably involve a different topic matter, but probably the same kind that Boston Christians and one other creator who I won't mention who told us a very special story one night on a fireside chat that we all know well. More on the UFO topic. I really do enjoy that topic matter. Digital, none of the evidence that was presented was verified. Gall threw out the rest of the evidence. Doolin said he was there without his original notes. That damn Doolin, man. I don't trust that whole situation, Digital. Investigators lied under oath. That's my top 4. That's a good top 4. I'm not going to lie. Based on what you're saying there, if that's all true, then he should get an appeal. Of course, if it's a rotten process, then they'll deny it anyways. Right or wrong? Cryptex Squad, that's what it's called, yeah. But I like but Cryptex, I like the focus on injustice, one, because there's not enough of that out there, and personal stories. Okay, what happens on YouTube and on the internet a lot is, yes, it starts out as a personal story a lot of these times, these stories, and then everybody sort of bastardizes the story over time and retells it. I mean, you're kind of taking a new approach by going, let's get some fresh, interesting stories that also may have an impact on listeners in terms of going through their own experiences or solutions for something they may be going through, right? So, excellent idea. I wholly applaud it, and I look forward to watching it. I really do. Essentially saying, hey, Dandy, I think Junior said the Gilgo Beach trial won't be televised. Dandy's saying hello again, Sensei. Rex Howerman is actual toast, in my opinion. Yeah, he's in New York, though, right? That's New York, so probably no death penalty, you know. I know a lot of people don't care about the death penalty, but I don't mind it so much when some pig like this takes a bunch of lives, you know, and he's got some kind of, you know, chamber that he's built underneath of his house to, you know, imprison and torture people in. Yeah, I don't mind them taking him out. I really don't. I'll be honest with that. I don't mind it. I wouldn't lose 1 second of sleep over them killing that son of a bitch. That's how I feel about it. Junior, hello, my friend, Sensei Wackadoodle. Yeah, dueling, yeah, digital. Listen, digital. I mean, if you watch any of my previous broadcasts, I did a show on the whole problem with Dan Doolin. And I agree, it's a problem. It's a problem. One, it's a problem because I'm already thinking conspiratorial wise, you know, like, well, here you got a guy in charge of that entire natural area. Who has more authority than a state police officer, especially if it's in a waterway? Had those bodies been found in that waterway, guess who would have been the lead on the murder investigation? It would have been Dan Doolin as the lieutenant DNR officer. State police don't have right to waterways. That's DNR. Now, they would have passed it off potentially. Still would have been his lead. Dandy saying hello, Cryptex. And Cryptex saying hi to Dandy. Digital saying there's a recording of Holman saying R.A.'s phone showed him at home. Well, it would have showed that his phone was at home, unless he recorded a video of himself at the same exact time being at home. Let's be clear. Phones can be placed anywhere. Digital, that is what I'll use as an alibi for KK. And you know, because we have gone over all that with KK's phone. Junior, my lovely, I just jumped off the end of Mob, so I can chill with you guys whilst I get ready for bed. Mob, oh, is that oh gosh, I can't. Chris's show? I haven't watched him in quite a while. He was one of the very first content creators that I did watch. A Jumbo saying Cryptex, Sensei, Digital Shay, She Warrior, Hi Watha, and Abby. I didn't see She Warrior. Hi, She Warrior. How are you? Oh, okay. Yeah, I like him. He's a nice guy. I mean, he seems like a nice guy. I guess you never know, but he has he's got a big show. Big show. I'm for Abby and Libby getting justice, says Digital. Prove RA was involved and I'm in. But just don't put shit in a crust and tell me it's chocolate pie. That insults me, just saying. No, I get it. I get it, Digital. You know, I know what you're saying. I know a lot of people are not feeling great about it. Again, I feel confident of his involvement to some degree. That's enough for me to at least be where he's at. So, and I guess we'll just have to disagree on that until something else comes out. But it wasn't based on the trial for me. Okay, I mean, I felt he was guilty going into the trial. And I don't think there was anything in that trial that to me, took him out of the equation. As far as what I saw or heard other people's analysis of. Again, didn't watch the trial, didn't read the transcripts. I wasn't going to buy transcripts and all. I mean, that's money, you know, and I could have watched other people read them, I guess. I did some, but I didn't do a thorough deep dive into the trial transcripts from beginning to end. It's sort of like saying, yeah, I mean, I read this chapter and verse in the Bible and then trying to figure out what the whole Bible means, you know, versus reading it from beginning to end or however you're supposed to. And so I've never really commented on that end of it, Digital, to be honest with you. I've never really, I mean, I've sort of stayed out of the fray of Delphi since the trial. I've gone over a few topic subjects, such as the Keegan Kline, Richard Allen conundrum, and the lost tip narrative on Dan Doolin. So those are two things that I covered, and out of those, most interestingly to me is that Dan Doolin narrative. Yeah, something's amiss there to me. Whether it's on Doolin's end or them misusing Doolin's information and making him look bad, somebody stinks over there. And I agree, Digital. So on that, we can agree. Cryptex, one lie to cover other lies. How can anyone be okay with this? Digital, Jari, good to see you. Well, because of you, I mean, you know, I'm not okay with lies, but I'm okay with the person I think that was Bridge Guy being found guilty. And that's where we're at with that. You know, so I mean, in my mind, it's pretty settled, you know. Not the whole case necessarily, but that end of it. Who is Bridge Guy? You know. People can say looks like this guy or that guy, but we have to come down to evidence. Who had the time to do it? Who was in the clothes? Who was dressed there? Who was there admittedly at the time? That's Richard Allen. You put all that in front of me, and either you have to admit that I was right in my theory that they were protecting him as a witness, or that he was involved in the crime. Right? In my opinion. I contended both. In my theory from 3 years ago, which some guy spouted off at me on the comment, how ridiculous that was. But remember, guy in the comment, that was 3 years ago. I think I made that clear. That was my 3 years ago theory. Whether that's what I was sort of rereading it for, to see what shook out and what didn't. So your criticism of me, although I was polite in the comment, you can fuck off and leave my channel and don't ever come back. You know who you are. I didn't throw you out, but pop off one more time and you can go piss off and go listen to shitheads like Snay or some of these other fucking bloviating cocksuckers who are fucking just there for money on dead kids. Because that's not me. Bitch. Dandy saying, all I know for certain is that I am not Bridge Guy. And me as well. Although if I put on a pair of Carhartts, and I have Carhartts, and a checkered jacket, whew, thank God I'm 6'2". Thank God I'm 6'2". I mean, look, there's plenty of anomalies still around this case, guys. That's what I'm saying. To me, it doesn't have to come down to Richard Allen. I believe he was involved in some way. But let's look at some of the other aspects that weren't in the trial. Or some of the other rings of nefarious actors that aren't in the trial. Starting with KK. Starting with the Yellow Yubo app. Starting with whatever this Buster Hernandez connection is. And possible California connection. Starting with the Stevensons down south who were murdered. And whose MO looked exactly like Delphi, apparently, according to that. Although they've let no information out of that. And also, bringing up little Elizabeth and Lyric, I think was her name. The two girls that were murdered previous to the Delphi girls. I find it awful strange that town has a pig plant, just like Delphi does. And that there was an extension being built on by contractors that work for that pig plant, just like Delphi was at the time. They were expanding. And old information tells me there was one person, who I'm not going to mention, who helped with the upgrade at the pig plant in Delphi, but who was also there at that same time helping with that upgrade at the pig plant in Iowa, in Evansville. And it's somebody that was being looked at early on, and nobody that's mentioned anymore. And I believe he had a white Dodge Dart. And he was arrested the next day for having an underage girl in his car. So maybe there is more to it. But if there's nothing to it, then maybe this person still is involved in something bad, you know. Digital's eliminated themselves as well as Bridge Guy. Thank God. The thought of someone creepy being in our chat room like that, guys, grosses me out. I don't care if our show never gets big enough to have any of these people creeping into our seeping in. Because, I mean, everyone said pretty much that Richard Allen and any other bad people who are ever involved in things always go and watch these shows. And I don't want that. They can stay the hell away from me. I like you guys. Keep it small, I say. You know. A dandy saying, I almost fed an X. Wait, 2 hogs once, way back in the late 90s. What's an X? X. I don't know what that means. Dandy. Sorry. I don't know what an X is. So anyways, but back to the interview. I do think that it was interesting. It was if not enlightening, it was at least respectful. And I was gonna say it was succinct, but I think it wasn't succinct because I think that's the nature of the show that I do. It's just not ever really succinct. Oh, X. Okay, got it. Okay. I was like, why are you feeding your pigs ecstasy? What's going on? Well, isn't that animal cruelty? You know? Oh man. But I think Skip brings a lot to offer besides Delphi, by the way, or Richard Allen's guilt or innocence. You know, he's not even approaching it from that angle, really. So, I just think with his experience, both in life and with this case, that we could basically, and we didn't even do the exercise. I kind of got a little confused when I first brought up I was bringing up the email and that exercise we were going to do. He sent me 2 sets of emails. One with the Missy Beavers case. That's actually the exercise. That's got video attached to it. So I do want to have him back on for that segment of the Missy Beavers case where we can do a deductive reasoning exercise that his buddy in law enforcement wrote out. There you saw all those pages of text that we didn't go over. So I would like to do that sometime. But at least it'll give me an opportunity to read that text and get the experiment down before we do it. Not just on the fly. Yeah, okay, Digital. Yeah, I mean, in fact, I said last night, that I had always heard that there were FBI agents in Delphi ahead of those murders. I have always heard that. So, yes. Whether or not that's true, but it's curious that now you're saying that, you know. Paula's saying hi. Hi, Paula. How are you tonight? Ha, ha, ha. Dandy, good. FedEx, UPS are merging. New name, Fed Up. Jerry saying hi to Paula. Farmer, if you ever want me to make some slides for your presentations, I'll happily do them for you. Really, Sensei? You would do that? I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. Like when I look at Cryptex's broadcast, I'm like, oh man, they're so sharp, you know. They're so but they're so him too. I mean, they're not just like indefinable. Like they have a flavor to them. You know, Cryptex has a certain flavor with his digital media, in my opinion. So no, I knew what you meant, Sensei. Good evening, Miss Paula. Yeah, I would love that, Sensei. By slides, yeah, because I know how to put up slides. I got that. I can share the slides, but putting something together for that would be difficult for me, at this point. And then one of those things that's like one of those minutia things that kills the whole show. Then it's like I just don't want to, deal with it. Although I'll say that even with the few technical issues that I had yesterday, and just in general, I find that stuff to be less. I used to really feel a lot of pressure. I don't know if that's because of where I was at in life versus where I'm at now, or if my comfort level is more. I'm more confident using the tools here provided, but I just didn't feel that pressure. I just don't feel that same pressure anymore. It seems a lot easier, even when I run into an issue. I hope that's apparent on the air. I do. I really do. Because that thoroughly bugged me before when I would lose my cool or just like freeze up, basically, essentially freeze up, not knowing what to do. It's a terrible feeling. So to even not know what to do, but be able to work through that freeze up feeling is a victory to me, and a victory in the way that I conduct myself, both publicly and personally. It's important to me to try to make changes that are positive, and I think that's a positive one. So yeah, but to answer that question, of course, I think Sensei, anytime, I I feel guilty like asking anyone, honestly, just because I know how hard it is to work and get by in life with all this shit, to just openly be asking, like, I need help with this or that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so if anybody ever wants to pitch in and do anything for the show, don't wait for me to ask you. Be assertive like Sensi, and chances are pretty good. Yes, if you're interested in back channeling an idea, email me. We'll start a dialogue on that. If you're interested in a new idea, something you think I'd be good at, and I agree, then we can talk about that. I'm not stuck on web sleuthing. I'm not stuck on UFOs. One thing I've tried to do over the course of the last 2 years is to really just say almost every show that don't expect it to be one way or the other. This show can, I won't say it can go anywhere, but we're not gonna relegate ourselves into a corner where we can only discuss a few narrow things, or else nobody wants to watch. I'd rather know right off the bat, we're gonna do a disjointed variety show. If you want to watch, great. If you don't, okay, fine. I hope you're having a good life. That's how I wanted to start out the message. I think I did that. And I think we continue to build on that to this day. And when we do get the opportunity to interview a interesting guest like Skip Jansen, damn it, we're going to take it. That's it. We're going to take it, regardless of the topic matter. If they have an angle or an agenda and they're willing to come on the air and be in an enlightening environment with a rational conversation, I think we've developed a chat with you guys that is the kind of place where a person like that can come to and maybe state their case and actually be able to let it all out without being judged along the way and told what a dumb fuck they are for thinking that way. I don't like that. And if I invite somebody on here to explain their side, I don't expect that kind of behavior in the chat. And I'd expect any mod to throw a person like that out, If we're going to badger people, and that doesn't mean you don't have a right to question somebody's theory. That is what I want. But again, I mean, go back to what your damn parents taught you. There's a time and place on how to act, in my opinion. And for me, asking someone to come on here as a guest is a time and place where I have to be most respectful to that person. Because I don't have on guests where I'm trying to get a gotcha moment or extract something from them. I'm having on someone that I already previously respect, typically. You never know where it'll go. Somebody who does do a good interview like that is Sleuth Intuition. He will have all kinds of crazy people on, but he holds them in check and he does a damn good interview with them. I don't have that ability to interview people that I want to have not a contentious interview, but one where I'm trying to extract information for something. A sleuth has an innate ability to do that, in my opinion. So it's a different style of interview. Although, he can have guests on. I was on a show many times, other people also, where it's not like that. You're on as a guest, and maybe you both are interviewing someone together. So, yeah, he kind of taught me my chops on that, to be honest with you. Junior saying hi to Paula. Essentially saying, if you email me those pics and descriptions that Skip gave you, I can do those as a starting point. Oh, I will do that. We could find a swamp for the background, too. Oh, I like that. Oh, you like a green screen or a background shot or something? You know me. If you want to see the swamp, we just lift up the old... It's dark out now, but... I don't like anything too glossy or polished. I like it raw. I like it live and raw, but to say I don't like things produced would be a lie. So, yes, Sensei, I'm very interested in that. Best Missy Beavers coverage, gumshoe stories. Just my opinion, says Digital. Okay. Well, I don't know if I'm into taking on a case, like to watch a bunch of other people's coverage on it. I might breeze through some just to see what other people are doing. But when I approach this kind of stuff, like I kind of just like to go at it raw, so I can do an unfiltered look at it first, you know, and then I can go back and sort of see what other people are doing. But also, I mean, going into it with Skip wouldn't be going at it raw either, because he has done an extensive amount of research on this Missy Beavers case. Oh, that's true, essentially, yeah. And I'm accepting gracefully. I am. Junior said I'm going to bed, you jerk. Still tired from drinking. You meant driving, Junior, not drinking. Oh my God, Junior. That's hilarious. Yeah, okay, so you corrected it. Junior was all tired from drinking and driving back from Kentucky yesterday. You don't even drink, probably. Thank goodness. He meant driving, not drinking and driving. Missy Beaver's case is the stuff of nightmares. I'd be interested on Skip's views. He's done a ton of research. In fact, I heard him say that he let out a few things he probably shouldn't have. So, I mean, he definitely has. And that is the exercise that we were planning on doing with the audience. Was on that case. Thank you. It's DEREK. I love you, Abby. But thank you. That's how Uncool Derek spell it. Since he's saying, hey, Paula, good to see you. And since he's saying, hey, Abby. That's okay, because, Abby, you got one of those names. I know that everyone's been spelling your name with a Y on the end forever. It's funny you say that. There's not normally many trolls on the mob crew, but yesterday they were rampant. Seemed to be booting people every 5 minutes. Well, he's got a shit ton of people. That's like a really, I mean, I've been over there before. He's got like 1,000 people watching at a time, you know. It's like one of Lana Oriani's broadcasts from Truth and Transparency. You know, she's got like 85,000 subscribers. So she does a show. I mean, you barely get any words in. And she makes room for me because Lana loves me. And I love Lana. I'm going to get a tattoo that says Derek loves Lana. Since he's saying, take care, Junior. Good to see you soon. Hey, look out, folks. Look out. Mr. Steve from True Crime Web. I've had the good fortune of being drilled by defense attorney for hours on end, which has built a tough skin. And I know questioning my opinion keeps me focused on facts I can recreate. That's a good point, Mr. Steve. You have had the good fortune. I like how you start out these sentences, Mr. Steve. Since he's saying hey to Steve, and Steve saying hi to everyone. Paula, how you doing, Steve? Quab. Mr. Steve, try to say hi to Mr. Steve. No, you know, and I think it's part of the process, right? Right, Steve? I mean, it's just part of the process. I mean, they're being paid to do a job too. And if you could say anything else, they're keeping them honest, like you said. Yeah, it's annoying. It's disrespectful. When I was 11 years old and you had a defense attorney talking to an 11-year-old boy on the stand and saying, what did you do to turn that man on? You know, I lost a little respect for defense attorneys at that point. Of course, that was the early 80s, I guess, when you could approach things from that angle a little bit more. I don't think you'd even be able to say something like that to a minor child today. Maybe you could. Maybe in a trial you could say anything. It shocked me, that's for sure, at 11 years old. Because in my head, I hadn't done anything to turn any adult on. You know, of course. Since he's saying, hey, Steve. True Crime saying, hello, everyone. Oh, we did that. Wait. Mr. Steve. Yeah, we love our Mr. Steve, man. I hope you're doing good. Oh, you're down. You know Skip. I don't know if you know Skip, but you guys are in the same state. No, doesn't everybody know each other if they're in the same state? But I think as far as an interview goes, you guys, I couldn't have asked for more than with Skip, you know. And what I mean by that is just somebody who is willing to be open, willing to basically, there wasn't You know, I checked with them, you know, back channel with them. Is there anything you don't want to talk about? Is there anything you don't, you know, just out of an abundance of caution? And the answer was no. They can ask me whatever they want, and I'll answer it honestly of how I feel about it, you know, or whatever. So that's the kind of person he is, and you know, it was to me it was just a real natural interview. It felt really good. It harkened back, even though I don't consider the shows I did with Cryptex as interviews, besides the very one that I did with him, episode Quatre, but number 4. And actually, Mr. Steve made an appearance on that, considering he missed number 3. Oh, it's okay. I don't mind talking about it. I really don't. Yeah, well, you know what? I mean, they have a job to do. They're being paid to get that person basically off the stand, you know, to get them freed. You can say whatever you want, representation, yada, yada, yada. Their job is to get that person untroubled, you know? And if they can find an angle, you know, to do that, they're going to do it. True Crime Web saying, bad judge. That would have cost the attorney some time to reflect attacking victims. Probably mistrial to start things off. Well, he, the person that they were saying that about that to me, was convicted of his crime, and he spent 10 years in Jackson prison for it. So it worked. The process worked in my case, and that's why I'm able to talk about it. You know, also I had a very supportive family. So these things, they don't embarrass me. Again, when you're 11 years old and you go through something like that, if you're growing up feeling like you did something wrong, then you didn't have the supportive people around you that you should have. And that's a real fail. That's a real fail in the system. I didn't have that. And my story didn't end like so many terrible ones do, Libby and Abby, or other kids. I had a happy ending where my conservation officer, not Dan Doolin, I'm in Michigan, saved my life. And if it wasn't for that conservation officer, according to the homicide detective who was in charge of my case, one Sergeant Gome from the Michigan State Police Post in Wayland, Michigan at the time, said that I would have been a pile of bones buried in the woods. That's what he had intended for me. Due to the fact that they found a duffel bag filled with knives and swords and tape and restraints and all kind of nasty things that he didn't have a chance to use on me because the conservation officer did his job. He came over that hill thinking that someone maybe had slipped off the road that day because it had rained hard the night before, and he saw tire tracks. And he came upon that scene instead. Right? Abby, what did you do to turn that man on? Yeah, asking a kid that is terrible. I agree. I agree with you, Abby. I mean, I don't care what fucking time of age it was. Asking a victim that kind of question, that brashly, and it was that brashly. Hey, Jamie Hicks, how you doing? I haven't seen you in forever. I hope you're doing good. Is a terrible thing to do to a child on the stand. Yeah. Yeah, that out of the entire trial, I really don't remember. I was in sixth, maybe between 5th and 6th grade, I think. I don't remember the trial. Interestingly enough, I left a box of paperwork at my old house that my neighbor called me up with and said it was a big tote. Had a bunch of different shit in it, some personal stuff, and I totally left it. And as I was looking through that, there's an envelope in there that says Derek's trial. I think it's my grandma's. My grandma did like a court stenographer's handwritten notes on the entire trial because she was like a Agatha Christie type. My grandma was in the courtroom even when I wasn't, taking notes, taking and documenting everything. Because when you're a witness in a trial and you're the victim of a person like that, you're not in the room and in the trial with them the entire time. That's not the goal. You don't have to. You come up for your part. You can go back and play video games or whatever. I don't remember what the hell I was doing, but sometimes there was just I wasn't there, and the trial was still going on. But my grandma was there, and she was, again, taking handwritten notes on everything, and I think I have found those notes. I thought she, I've never seen them, and I haven't opened the envelope yet. So, if I do find those notes, that's something we could go over in a case sometime too, just what that process is like. Oh yeah, I mean, I'm glad I'm not a pile of bones too, Abby. I mean, it's a good thing. But again, this has happened to thousands of people and children across this country and world over time. So, that's not the part I like to focus on. I like to focus on the part that says, as long as you have a supportive system behind you, which I did, that you can come out the other end still okay. There's hope, Gosh, Jamie, I haven't seen you in forever. Sensei's saying hi to Jamie. Jerry's saying hi to Jamie. And Jamie, indeed, throwing it back to everyone, saying hi, guys. Cheers to Grandma's doing it up. Yeah, my grandma was awesome. Totally awesome. True Crime Web, do you think RA got a fair trial? Digital needs to know. Digital. I mean, what if you found out, Charlie Manson didn't get a free trial? And make him any less guilty? I know that's a terrible question and a way to put it, but I mean, look, if he didn't get a fair trial, he should have an appeal. That's my opinion. Any person, guilty or not, who didn't get a fair trial should absolutely get an appeal. So I am worried about that process in any small court situation, just that it's not going to still go fairly, and for some reason he won't get an appeal. But what are the laws in Indiana when it comes to appeals? It's going to be much narrower scope. It's not a murder trial all over again. It's not a second trial. It's going to be a very narrow scope on the appeal. So, again, if you're asking to get somebody off on a technicality, that doesn't necessarily absolve them of guilt. My opinion, digital. Jamie, thank you, guys. I just paid my Wi-Fi bill. Oh, that helps, yeah. The appeals process will prove if fair or not. Well, to a bigger point, though, what if the appeals process is tainted? But again, you got to have checks and balances. And, I mean, at this point, I almost just feel like an appeal, if he was reconvicted, would just shut everybody up, I have no question that's Bridge Guy in my mind. But if somebody were able to prove in an appeal process that it wasn't, who am I? I'd have to go along with that. It would certainly help if the person accused of the crime himself would deny it. As far as I'm concerned, he admitted it early on to a conservation officer by putting himself there in the clothes on the day at the time and looking exactly like the person in that situation in that grainy video. Farmer is cool as a pan, man. But Digital is curious about your opinion since you are so knowledgeable about court proceedings. And I think that's a fair question, Digital. Steve is absolutely knowledgeable about court proceedings from that standpoint, a law enforcement standpoint. So, it might be might be a little bit more clear if we had a judge answer. I don't think a judge is ever going to bother watching Derek Farmer's show, but, or lawyers even. But, I don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know enough about it. I wasn't so involved in that part of the process after I felt like he was Bridge Guy, to be honest with you. Jamie, love you too, Mr. and Mrs. Steve. You are my crime scene savant. That is sweet, I guess. Yeah. My crime scene savant. But you guys, I don't want it to devolve into a Delphi conversation today. I really wasn't looking for that. I more was interested in I'm just going over the actual interview. Okay, but if Mr. Steve's going to answer, we're going to go. I'm LE, prosecution bias. He's being honest. So my opinion is bias, and I have to rely on court processes. So Mr. Steve is saying, yes, he thought the process basically was fair because in his line of professionalism, that's how it's had to be. So you can't be an LE and think that the process is tainted. In other words, that's so counterproductive. you know, you can imagine Mr. Steve going into every court proceeding going, this is all bullshit, That's not going to work. Mr. Steve's not going to have a job either very long doing that, or career path. Unless he's sheriff, which I would vote for Steve for sheriff. I mean, Steve for sheriff is like the campaign I want to work on. I find myself worried that the appeals process is questionable, just my opinion. I don't worry about it too much. I'm sure he's guilty of something. Sorry about that. Guy's a fucking creep. In my opinion. If Charlie didn't get a fair trial, give him another one. I want to see that. But he's dead now. Can't give Charlie another trial. Well, I'm not saying he didn't or did, but I'm just saying. And what a media circus that was. You guys want to go look at some old media coverage of a crazy nationwide murder thing? Go back and check out the trial coverage of the Charlie Manson murders. I mean, you had like groups of psychos out front singing these songs about shit, trying to get them out. I mean, it is a nutty buddy scene out there. Dandy, that's why I appreciate being able to watch trials. I want a first-hand account of what's argued in court. I get that it's interesting for the viewer. Is it the best for the process? That's what we need to be considering. I don't know the answer to that. A lot of people say the more you bring things out into the light, the better that. Yes, it is. I can't disagree with that. But also, aren't there a lot of unemployed sketch artists now? That's sad. True. Oh, whoops. Sensi, True Crime Web, you weren't biased on the Karen Reed case. If you see errors, you speak out, and I admire that. Oh, yeah. I think he means it's more like from the beginning, he's going to be looking at it from the prosecutor's standpoint. In that, there is going to be some natural bias, right, Steve? Is that more of the flavor you're going for? You don't wake up going, I don't care if this guy's guilty or innocent. I'm on this side. That would be hopefully not the attitude that you have. I mean, you got to go into it actually believing the evidence that's going forward. But, you have to understand law enforcement's going to be meeting with the prosecutor, and or probably or something, and evidence is going back and forth. So from Steve's standpoint, he's biased just initially because that's the same side that you're working from. Steve doesn't start out his morning at the defense attorney's office. Okay. Jamie saying, Mr. Steve is my dude. I remember watching him to gain knowledge on shit. He had this ability to make dum-dums like me understand complex concepts. Thank you so much, Mr. Steve. I agree with you on that. And the best example I can give of that is when he went live on location to Evansville, Iowa, and showed us what a cattle run situation can look like for two people being trapped in a situation. An interesting comparison to the bridge at the time was the fence on one side. The fence, and then on the outsides of the fence, on one side you have a body of water, on the other side you have a fast-moving freeway, so that you have a choke point on both ends. And it was very interesting. So that was the first time I felt that he had done that on location. Maybe I might be wrong about that, but yeah. And also his explaining of every scenario. Mr. Steve, you do have a way. I mean, you would have been an excellent teacher, in my opinion. Like, I could totally see you teaching high school, like criminal justice class or something. Like, that'd be so great. I served warrants and risked my life on judges' signatures on warrants from third parties in pursuit of justice. Exactly. So that's where your bias is coming from. He's not saying that I wake up saying I'm going to go arrest innocent people. That's not the same kind of bias that we're talking about. LE are humans, and I made mistakes also, but they were honest mistakes and oversights. Right. And there is a difference between an honest mistake and something that, isn't so honest. There isn't a damn difference, And it's easy to sit back as a as an armchair, third party and say, nah, you must mean something by this or that. When, that's not the case at all a lot of times. So yeah, absolutely. A dandy saying, I appreciate the work you do now. Me too. And did on the force. Not everyone is cut out to do certain professions. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it takes a certain type. And there are some people, Mr. Steve, I'm sure would agree, that are not cut out for law enforcement, that he's met in his career with law enforcement, or that maybe weren't cut out to be in the position they were in. That happens too, guys. It happens in every profession or industry. Jamie says, I followed him in Ruckus to learn how to cop better. They killed 2 mentally ill people in my town. Who, Mr. Steven Ruckus? That's crazy. I'm just kidding. Scared me. So I gained so much insight. Yeah. I did love his shows where, he'd be on the road, doing stuff with Ruckus. That was fun. Manson is dead. How'd I miss that? Oh, yeah, he died some time ago. Probably because you're not a sycophant of a serial killer. Or I don't know if I'd consider Charlie Manson a serial killer. I almost felt like it was more an early definition of a spree killer by proxy, if that makes any sense. Although I know they didn't all happen on the same night, it still felt more spree killerish to me. I don't know the difference exactly, but kind of like, hey, let's go kill a bunch of people and then just go do it where you end up, or something like that. What was that movie Oliver Stone did back in the early 90s? Had that hot chick in it and that dude, Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson's dad helped kill JFK. Sue me if you want, Woody. Paula Fitzhenry, okay. Fun fact, Bundy was caught in my town. Really? You're not talking about famous wrestler King Kong Bundy. Manson killed no one. Steve says, I agree. I worked with some idiots and guys who threw their careers away and served time. Yeah, well, sure, it happens, I mean, the struggle is real, Mr. Steve. I mean, people get tempted by things, It's hard to keep a pure heart sometimes for people. I mean, for some people. But when you're driven to be a professional, it becomes easier. I even have morals just in delivery or just in the restaurant business. Things you just don't break. You do it a certain way. And when you do something wrong, you take your rap for it and you figure it out. You learn on the fly. You take a learning class. You take a class. You go to training somewhere. But you can never get to a point to where you're better at something if you're never willing to admit that you make mistakes. That's for damn sure, in my opinion. So the idea is then to be humble. And when someone has presented you with a mistake that you made, look to correct it and to find a corrective course of action. I was a Waffle House waitress for years. He probably served Mr. Steve breakfast on more than one occasion. Man, I haven't been to a Waffle House in decades. They don't have them up here. I haven't been to a Sambo's in decades either. I don't think they have those anywhere left anymore. Maybe one left in Alabama or something. Manson was crazy as a coot. Manson was crazy as a coot. I'm more interested, Dandy, into the ties between the government program MK Ultra and Charlie Manson. I think there is a conspiracy there because it was the CIA indeed that was operating the Haight-Ashbury LSD clinic where he got his LSD from. They pumped him full of that shit. And the whole idea with MK Ultra was to see if they could find charismatic people to get other folks that were normal folks to do terrible things and not have a conscience about it. What a great government program that is. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, government. You know. But that's real. That came out in the Pentagon Papers that Danny Sheehan, famous lawyer for notable people. He's a Jesuit lawyer. He was Karen Silkwood's lawyer. He helped bring out the Pentagon Papers. He's Lou Elizondo's lawyer. He was David Grush's lawyer for a while. He also is the only person in the country who's a non-military to have viewed a Foot Locker box from the Project Blue Book files. I mean, he had armed guards outside the little booth where he viewed these files from, and he still snuck shit out. I love Waffle House waitresses, tough and good people. Aw. Yeah, well, any of those breakfast joints, man, you gotta be. I'll tell you, I'm the same thing. I work at this little station now, and oh, you managed a Whataburger, really? I never had that before. They don't have those around here either. I mean, that's something I would get out of town if I ever ran across it somewhere. We got something here that they just opened up. We used to have a franchise that started here in Michigan called Hot and Now. And then it all went bad, and there was only one left in Sturgis, Michigan, all this time, for all these years. And finally, someone just opened up a new Hot and Now restaurant. The idea with Hot and Now was that they had a very scaled-down menu, burgers, cheeseburgers, fries, drinks. That's it. And they were uber cheap. I was a teenager. Burgers were 39 cents, cheeseburgers were 49 cents, and fries were maybe 59 cents. And we're talking about the 90s. It's not like I'm talking about the 70s here, So you go get a bag of friggin' burgers, for $5, you and your buddies could eat, for the night. It was great. And then they went out of business. I guess they weren't making enough money. I don't know. Oh, they tried to put a bunch of different crap on the menu. But once you change your whole kind of deal like that, go from a real simple menu, and that's part of your culture, to then having a flavor of the month situation in restaurants, that just never works out well, in my opinion. I do believe the MK Ultras, it's not a theory. It was proven in court. I mean, it was brought out in court. As a government, we did this to people. Bill Clinton even admitted so much. Look at the swift downfall of mental health since the internet was unleashed upon us. Actually, it started way before that. I got my foil hat on. No, you're serious though. I mean, they've never taken care of mental health in this country. 8 years ago, it was just a place to house actual criminals, and now it's just I don't know. Kalamazoo used to have a really great mental health care system, but I don't want to get political. We'll just say one party robs the system of money, and the other system puts so much in and probably wasteful of money. But at this point, there's no money in the system for mental folks. They just go to jail now. I wish I had to keep up with some of the Waffle House workers from back in the day. Man, the stories we could tell. Oh, you better believe it. And don't think your local Waffle House waitress doesn't know the dirt on everybody also. They know everything. And don't think the delivery driver doesn't see everything when they deliver to your house. I don't mean see everything, but if you wanted to, I mean, I've had access to places as a pizza delivery driver that normal folks can't even get into. Courthouse rooms and all kinds of shit. But I'm a total professional, so when they need a professional thing like that done, the company would send me. Hot and Now is my favorite restaurant I've never been to. I always called it Rotten Cow. Yeah, you're too young. I think they kind of closed down Abs before they before your time. But man, when I was 16, 17 and they first opened up, and they were only around like 20, maybe 20, 30 years or something as a really strong unit, maybe 20. And then kind of went wiki whack. It wasn't great tasting food, but it was hot and it was fast and it was so scaled back and cheap, that it really was a workable concept. I'm in a very corrupt town, Mr. Steve. I worked a mile from 2 military bases. Fun fact, I also waited on some 9/11 pilots back in the early 2000s. 9/11 pilots. The actual pilots are the ones who ended up piloting the planes. No, those are the ones that were the bad guys, right? Smash that like, y'all. I never say it, but if someone else wants to, I'll put it up. I'm just saying what Jamie's asking you guys to do, Smash that like. But so I think hopefully I sure would just to kind of bring it around here full circle, guys, I would sure like to drill down on a couple exercises with Skip on a couple topics. One being that Bieber's case that's still unsolved. Why not? Can't hurt to do an exercise on that unsolved case. It seems very mysterious to me. This case is one of these like make the hair on your arm stand up kind of cases. I think this Missy Bieber's case. So I find it to be something that has so many different possibilities and angles that it would be interesting exercise to do, and I think we'll end up doing that. Dandy, I haven't been to a Waffle House in 10 years. First time I ever ordered chicken and waffles, I almost exploded, but I was pregnant. I never heard it. I heard of this chicken and waffles. That's a South thing. I mean, I don't put maple syrup in my chicken noodle soup. And I don't put ketchup on my eggs. God dang it, I'm an adult. Chicken and waffles. I never heard of such anarchy in my life. Who thought that up, chicken and waffles? Really? That's pure food anarchy. I'm near so many military bases. Actually just dumped my Air Force ex-cop boyfriend. Oh, good. He's probably a jerk anyways. Gibbo saying, hey, True Crime Web. Well, you guys, I think we're gonna call it a night here. I'm gonna get to bed. Yeah, I'm gonna get to bed. Abby, I hope you're feeling better soon. I just want to pop on. I want to say thanks to Skip. I'm usually pretty good about that. I didn't do anything yesterday. I worked the daytime job there for a couple hours in the cooler. That's real fun. And then went on to Kalamazoo to work for a few more hours. So, oh, damn it, Jar, you would. I love ketchup on eggs. Mr. Steve saying hey to Gibbo. But tomorrow I'm going to be spending all day in Kalamazoo. I want to stop by and see Mom and just deliver all day and make some cash. So I'll be looking forward to doing that. But until then, I'm sure it started out somewhere too. That's an LA thing, Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I mean, I think that started out in the South, Jamie. I mean, I could be wrong. Did it start in LA, really? Or is it LA, Louisiana, you mean? You don't mean Los Angeles, you mean Louisiana. Got it. Okay. That makes more sense to me. Sriracha or green hot sauce on eggs. Yeah. Okay, now you're talking my flavor. Aw, thanks. I love you too, Jamie. I love a good well, we can't stop now because I love to talk about Verde. There's nothing more special to me than a good green sauce. I didn't know how much I love green sauce until I went to New Mexico and had homemade green sauce. And then, so in New Mexico, when you have your enchiladas, you have Christmas tree, half red, half green, or one or the other. But they'll ask you, do you want them red, green, or Christmas tree? At least every place I went asked me that. Oh, LA, California. Okay. Well, I mean, maybe they were ahead of the South on that. I don't know. I don't know the history on chicken and waffles. I feel like there is a story there. I feel like there is a story there. Jamie saying thanks, Jerry. Yeah, if you could find me a better salsa or better tasting thing than Verde, that green with the green chilies, you know. Oh man, I love that stuff. I could put that on just about anything. I'm getting hungry again. All right. Well, with all that being said, you guys better have a good night, and I mean it. Go on to have a little fun, you know. And well, Dandy, I need to send you some local made green sauce. Yeah, it's called Dad's green sauce. So good on everything. I love that. Love that idea. Yeah, email me. I'll give you my address. Email me. It's in the. I researched your store. You did my store, really? Be careful after hours, as those are targets in the holidays. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Well, I carry a machine gun. I'm just kidding. You researched my store? My particular one that I work at? In Three Rivers? It's called Three Rivers, but it's actually in Jones. It's on M60. Right by me here. Oh, that's cool, Mr. Steve. That makes me feel good. It's a little weird in there, yeah. Every local comes there. It's the store that every local goes to. In fact, a gal that used to work there, Mr. Steve, unfortunately, on my birthday last 17th here in October, was shot in the head. Yeah, not at the store, but I don't know if it was the head, but she's in a coma still, I think. And the boyfriend or husband shot himself and died. Unless it was the other way, they're not really coming out with details. I suppose in this day and age, you know, I don't want to speak too soon. Maybe it went the other way. But I think her kid came in. That was really weird. I don't want to talk about that on the air. He's just this kid came in one day. He's like, okay, I'm going to talk about it on the fucking air. This kid came in on my first shift by myself, right? He's pretty well dressed. You know, he doesn't look disheveled. He looks to be somewhere between driving age and drinking age. I have a harder time telling these days. I think closer to driving age than drinking age, but maybe 18, right? I love you, Mr. Steve. You crack me up, man. You're so right about that. Wow. Anyway, so he comes in the store and he's sort of at the counter and he's hemming and hawing. And can I help you? You know? And he goes, the first thing he says to me is, I don't have any money. Okay. And, you know, and then he goes, I don't have any place to stay. Well, now I'm concerned. Now suddenly I go from a situation where, you know, you have this young kid, local, presumably, you know, pretty well dressed, seems to be not unkempt by any means. You know, hair is combed, he seems clean. You know, doesn't appear to be on any substances or anything. But he wouldn't really look at me, you know. And now I'm concerned. And the first thing I asked him, I just looked at him. I said, are you in any danger? Maybe that's not what he's used to from your local gas station guy. You know, maybe I'm not your normal gas station guy. But doing what we do here, I mean, my first question just was, are you in any danger? And he said, no, I don't think so. Now I got customers lining up. And he won't. And I go, well, what's going on? Have you been into a fight with someone? And he's just said, I don't want to talk about it. I'm just a gas station guy on my first night by myself. And so I'm immediately on the internet now looking for resources. You know, as I'm talking to him, I'm not, you know. I said, do you want me to call somebody? Is there someone I can call for you? Or would you like to use my phone? Because the last thing I want to do in a situation where maybe a young person comes in danger, on, even if it's my first night and I'm doing the wrong thing and I'm not even supposed to be doing this, is be the guy that goes, I don't have time for you. Okay? Sorry, get out of here if you're not buying anything. I don't want to be that guy. I also don't want to be the guy that someone's just asking him, basically give me some money or a place to stay. Because neither one of those things are going to happen either. I can't do that. But I can get you in contact with somebody that can help, And so I told him to pour himself a pop. We got the fountain pop. And I had people lining up. I said, man, why don't you pour yourself a pop and give me a second. And by the time I was through my line, he was gone. He was gone. And then I heard that the lady who was shot's son didn't have a place to stay. And I'm wondering, is it that same kid? I couldn't figure it out that I haven't seen him since. No idea. But it hit me. I mean, I thought about it for the rest of the night. I considered calling the police, but tell them what? Older teenager came in and said he didn't have money or a place to stay. I don't know, guys. That was really a bummer, man. That really upset me, actually. It really upset me. But I didn't know who to call. I didn't know what to do, Excuse me, you got to be a paying customer sleeping in the bathroom, sir. Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't need a situation where someone's going to try to take advantage for no reason of a situation either. But I will be damned if I think someone's hurt or in danger and try to get away from somebody and just throw them back out to the wolves, even if I got to put my own life at risk. I'm not going to be that guy. Or the conservation officer didn't do that to me. Gas station attendants and prostitutes have some of the most dangerous jobs. That's probably true. As Steve's saying, before my LA career, I worked cashier as a teen on an interstate exit, survived 3 attempted robberies. You didn't let them rob you. You're like, I'm Mr. Steve. You're not robbing me, asshole. Dude, I relate so much, Farmer. The thing is, most people at my age would be embarrassed to say they work as a food delivery person or at a gas station. I'm not. I'll tell you why. Because I pay my taxes. I'm a good person. And because I don't have a skilled trade and didn't go to college, I suppose I could, try to get in a factory somewhere. I just do what I like to do. I knew that working at a small town gas station that sells worms, firewood, racing fuel, and minnows was for me. I knew that I'd be meeting people that I'd like to talk to. And I've met some really interesting people at this gas station, guys. I'm not kidding you. Everybody needs gas or something in a gas station. So I even met a man that, I'll be honest with you, this one really freaked me out. We sort of got to talking. He was an older guy, maybe a little bit older than me, maybe 10 years older than me. A black guy. Not that matters, but it does become somewhat relevant. Because the community I live in is predominantly, or at least used to be at least, the Calvin Township, predominantly black. In fact, the landowners where I live now are African American. It's one of the few places in Michigan where black folks could buy some farmland from these religious folks known as the Calvinists, who were abolitionists. That's what our history is here, okay? We're also a stop on the Underground Railroad, and if anybody looks up the Bonine Farm, we'll see that that was one of the first opportunities for African Americans to buy property, to own something they could pass on to their people, instead of just having nothing to pass on. No generational wealth, no real estate, so to speak. And that's our community here. So when I speak to you about black and white, that's what I'm speaking on in a real way. And I don't mind doing that. And I'm not afraid to do that. But anyway, so this guy comes in and, we got to talking. He's a super nice guy. And sometimes when you meet people, you just know you have a connection. And he asked me, where do you live? I said, I live over in Calvin. you know. He goes, really? He goes, I grew up in Calvin. And I said, oh. I said, do you know so and so? Now, I'm not going to say the last name. Anybody close to me, even on this channel, already probably can figure out a last name based on the cold case that was here. But, so I said that name. And he went like this. He went like that. And he said, you know, he got tears in his eyes. He said, I used to live right where you're living. I used to live right where you're living. That used to be a dairy farm. And that person's grandparents I worked for. He said, I know a lot about that case. That cold case. He said a couple other things that I won't repeat. But to say that we didn't have a connection at that point, that just came out of the blue. And both of us now with tears in our eyes shook each other's hand and said, we'll talk soon. Jamie saying, I was robbed at gunpoint twice, just trying to do my job. Yeah, I was arm robbed. Well, he said he had a gun. He had his hand in his pocket. I can tell you that when they charge you, and you say you have a gun, they charge you as an armed robber. I testified against him, and he went to prison for quite a while. I felt kind of bad. He's a poor guy, but it was his fifth armed robbery. How long before you blow somebody's head off, you know? As a responsible person in the community, it's my job to go testify in that situation, in my opinion. Now, I had a lot of punk rock friends at the time saying, you're putting a poor guy away who needed something. And I said, I'm sorry, but he threatened me with a weapon. I feel like he should be in prison. And I sent him. I testified. Abby's saying, I don't think he could have handled that better. Maybe I could have, maybe I couldn't have. I'm not a trained social worker. I'm not a trained, I don't know. But I can tell you, after running restaurants, Abby, and working with people in restaurants as an older person, I do get a sense of how to talk to maybe a younger person in need. I just do. I don't know how or why, but when you're working with only people pretty much that are half your age, you just sort of communicate. You either do communicate with them well, or you're the guy that is too old that they can't communicate with, And God knows, I don't want to be that uncool dork, Abby saying, I don't think you could have handled it better. Maybe I could have, but I certainly could have handled it worse, and I didn't. So I'm glad of that. An Uber driver here in Colorado was just murdered and left in a field. Stay safe, y'all. Well, 6 years ago, an Uber driver in Kalamazoo murdered 6 people. Just to bring that full circle. And Abby was going to walk home that night, but I gave her a ride, and she heard gunshots going off. Maybe I saved her. It was right by where the whole shooting went. I will never be ashamed about where I'm at in life because we're all doing all of this just to die. Exactly. Well, I'd be ashamed if I didn't work. If I could and chose not to and just chose to suck off a system, that would make me ashamed. And that's a reason, personally, it would make me ashamed. But working and paying taxes, no, I'm not going to be ashamed about what kind of job I have. Sorry, that's not in my scope. And if you want to job shame me, and people have, trust me, at my age, well, no wonder you're still this, you must not be very smart in all this, That's fine. I don't care, man. They're not paying my bills. I barely pay my bills on these low-paying jobs. It's just where I'm at, it's just where I come from in life, you guys. It's not, I could have went to college, I hated school. I hated it. I tried college for 2 weeks. 2 whole weeks. I had to pay for that son of a bitch, too. I didn't cancel in time. It was summer classes. Probably screwed myself there because everything's kind of condensed. And I already hadn't been to high school in a long time. It was terrible. Skin color does not equal a good, heart, or kind soul. I'm so over the racial divide. Oh, you're right. I agree. I only note it here in this case because historically speaking, this farm, this land, this community that I live in, has a history for black folks. And I don't want to gentrify that by not mentioning it, to be honest with you. Interesting, says Paula. In fact, the Calvinists were English, of course. I mean, like all the pioneers were, mostly. And came here for religious freedom. And with them, they brought the ramp leak. And on the Bonine farm is known as Ramp Town. But Ramp Town's where all the poor black folks would, Mr. Bonine or whoever this guy was, would sell them. He bought a lot of land, thousands of acres, and would then cut out and sell to escaping slaves land so they could get their own start on their own land, of which I live on. I want to be a good steward of this property, you see. It's not important for me to own something here. It's important for me to take care of what is owned as a good steward. And to be respectful, and to recognize the history. The person that owned this place has interviews with colleges, the last name, on a couple different archives based on the history. It's historical. And I love history. All kinds of it, but especially local Southwest Michigan history. Anybody knows I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan. My name's Derek Palmer. It's two things I don't bullshit about. Where I'm from and what my name is. Okay? And Cass County is only a county over. And one to the south. Over one, down one. Kind of. And as such, actually was even a little bit older than Kalamazoo. I mean, as things filtered up north, they become newer, with the exception of Detroit, Sault Ste. Marie, and so forth. Jamie say my family originated from Spain, Pensacola, before St. Augustine. Yeah, there's a whole deal down there with that, too. Yeah, Florida's a pretty anomalous place. I'll tell you what. Talk about some history. People talk about the first American colony being Roanoke, or whatever that colony was, Jamestown, colony went to Roanoke. But there's some pretty good archaeological evidence that the Spanish were here first in St. Augustine. Correct, Jamie? Am I right on that? But they don't get any credit. You guys, it's been a really great show. I did not expect to go 2 hours. I was just going to do a quick review of Monday night's live with Skip Jansen, which I just want to add, I thought went very well, was interesting, was respectful. Whether you agree or not with what we discussed, I felt we did it in a way that was interesting enough, and again, respectful to the victims and the families. That's the important thing. Okay? Especially when you're talking about a case that's not cold, per se. But I'm still interested in all those little weird minutia facts around it. It's got to be one of the most enigmatic cases in the history of cases. And there's still some unanswered things. And we're going to keep poking away at little things. Maybe not to do with the murders, but about other things going on in that area. Okay? Dandy saying, sleep sweet, everyone. Stay safe and see you next time. And I agree, Dandy. Thank you for giving me that out. I want to say, guys, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And keep your eyes, guys. Until next time, just be well. We'll see you soon. Very soon. Take care.